Whether or not you've been through a 360 video project before, there are a few things that you can do to ensure your project doesn't get derailed. Make sure you know what to expect of your 360 producer, know what they'll expect of you, and what does the finished product look like. We're going to cover all that in part 4, what to expect. Video number 4. So this is video number 4. The reason that a lot of producers today use multi-camera systems for their approach to 360 is that you're essentially taking action cameras or smaller form factor cameras with a simple fixed lens and putting them in various arrays. So they're replaceable, they're relatively affordable, and they're versatile for having backup cameras, having backup media, and the software used to put that content together with multi-camera systems is kind of pre-configured for the most part. You do have to process it, you do have to know what you're doing, but for the most part you can plug those systems into the software with the multi-cameras, depending on the number you use, and it's going to find the seams, it's going to find the synchronization for you between each camera and just make it all look really solid. What types of shots should you be talking to your content producer about when you talk about your project? Well, there's two key different kinds of shots, really. There's static shots and moving shots. Static shots and moving shots. There's lock positions, which is essentially you put the camera in a opportunistic position and hit record and make sure they're all running and step away and let the action happen around the camera. In post-production or in the viewing of your content, you're going to be looking around at the exact same pixels when you look this way, but you're going to be able to see the action move anywhere you want. These shots are easiest to stitch, they're easiest to produce, they're easiest to replicate additional content into later to help support your story. Don't shy away from the idea that the static content you capture can become more dynamic later and have even some movement and dynamics to it in post-production. Don't assume that everything has to be moving. I have worked with clients who were sure they had to use moving shots throughout their entire project, and when they saw the static shots and the moving shots, they chose all the static shots because even though the moving shots were smooth and professional and clean and looked great, they didn't like how it forced the perspective of the audience when they're watching the content. So the second idea, the second way of filming is with moving shots. Moving shots can come in a variety of different options. It could be as simple as having, a robotic post that lifts the camera system while you're filming, which can add a dynamic element. You can rotate the camera system, you can move the camera system to and fro. Now, how do you move the camera system this way though? Well, it's going to be on a few different options. It's going to be on a drone, a rail system, a robot that's essentially like a little two-wheeled self-balancing robot. You can do a four-wheeled dolly, bigger footprint, a little bit uglier to deal with in post, but for the most part, you've got the stability and the consistency of a four-wheel cart. The last and probably the least professional, but potentially applicable option is for someone to hold a monopod and actually have the camera system out in front of them, looking at them, and as well as the content all around where they're looking, and have them kind of be a host. They have to be in the shot in this case. They have to be a part of the footage and conveying to the audience, well, here we're looking at this old Roman chapel, and here's the history of this chapel. You get the idea. For lock positions, generally speaking, the finished content you're looking at should be completely 360, no errors in the base where the rigging was. Okay, timing during post-production. How long should it take once this content is captured to provide you with at least the quick stitches, quality stitches, and assembly edit, and then your final video? Before they get back on a plane, before they get back in the car and head out, I would have your content producer provide you with one of these hard drives to ensure that you have a backup of all the data that was captured. Really important. Things happen. Life is crazy. So make sure that you have content of your shoot, because that's a lot of what you're paying for, is the capture process as much as the finished video. Running through this process really quick, what does it look like in post-production? As a general rule, for every day of shooting, you should, within 1 or 2 days, have a full set of quick stitches that are provided to you and your team to review for the assembly edit. And once you've chosen those, you're going to give that back to your producer. He's going to go through and fine stitch the shots and duration that you want to use in your video. You're going to fine stitch and clean up and double check the synchronization and alignment and horizontal correctness on all those shots. Your producer's going to put that into an assembly edit that they suggest for your final video and start going over the creative process of determining how to tell your story with your chosen shots. So we kind of keep narrowing that funnel down to the point where we've got the content that you want to tell your story. Yeah, once you have that, then the assembly edit gets agreed upon, changed several times. This all generally takes 2 or 3 weeks until you have a finished video where you're saying, okay, these are the very last refining touches to it. I can do a quick stitch of a shot in 10 to 15 minutes, rendered out and ready to go. I can do a fine stitch of a critical shot to share to social media within an hour and a half. Generally speaking, a 360 video that reflects what you really want as a client with all the creative decisions and communication and good quality work takes about a month to put in your hands. What are quick stitches? Quick stitches are just syncing the footage for the purpose of seeing what you got in the shot. Quick stitches are synchronization, all the cameras are running at the same time. Quick stitching, just basically assembling all the pieces of the different cameras together in the complete picture so you can see what you got, what the action looks like, where there may be some little problems in the footage, where you're sure that you got the shot and that all that material is there, the content's there for the particular take you wanted. Fine stitching goes back in and refines the control points and alignment of different linear elements and subjects within the shot, and deals with things like color and gradients so that you've got even exposure and color across the entire panorama, and then correcting the horizon. Maybe some stabilization if it's a moving shot, etc. It cleans it up so it's ready for post-production. You literally can put it into your timeline, start using it as a piece of footage. The assembly edit is where your editor is going to go in and take all the shots you've chosen at the duration that you know you want and assemble it in a way that's logical to them for the story or that you've discussed with them. This could be a really organized, formulated, previously discussed part of the project. This also could be where they're just adding their creative suggestion of how they feel the story should flow and allowing you to kind of make edit selections or agree to what they're putting as an example. The final edit should consist of a very finished, polished video with only minor tweaks still required in order for there to be a finished product. You're going to have everything like graphics and color grading, and every consideration has been made about the content and is ready to show you as a finished product. And once you agree on that, now you got the deliverables. So what does the finished product look like? It's hard for people who have never walked through the process and has only maybe only seen these online, or you've seen the experience but you don't know what it actually is. For the most part, most videos get delivered as an MP4 file and then can be rendered for different specific applications if required. That content is going to be uploadable to social media, to YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo, Little Star, and all of these different applications and online locations where people can view it, whether they're seeing it on their browser or in their phone or in the Gear VR or in other Steam VR platforms, places where people experience all the 360 content. That same file, for the most part, with some occasional differences in bit rate, frame rate, things that different systems allow for in terms of quality, that's going to be the same file. So your finished video is now ready to kind of distribute out everywhere where you want to publish that content. Another reason you want to hang on to that hard drive or have a separate archived copy of your footage whenever possible is that it's not only backing up the footage for the sake of the project that you're producing right now, ensuring that you have it, but it's also repurposed. You can repurpose this 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now, I'm betting, for some of the content that can be 8 or 12K. You can use that in additional projects as long as it's still relevant to your location or your experience that you're trying to portray, your product, whatever. As long as it's still relevant, you can reuse that in numerous projects in the future. We're going to talk about that in the next video as we kind of wrap up this whole series.